it's recording.
Okay, so
we are live.
We are live. Okay, so
Yeah.
welcome to the Fierce Feminine Frequency, where leadership meets embodiment. And we have a special guest today because we're talking about the art of feminine masculine dynamics, about toxic masculinity, toxic femininity, and all our things that we are here for. Apparently. So let me introduce you to Alex. Or Alex, please introduce yourself for a little bit. What are you doing? What are we gonna share today? And what is your big project? You can tease a bit already.
I tease a bit about the big. So my name is Alex, and I've been working on an application for quite some time, which has to do with dating and relationship management, because this is something that like from when we met at Reflect Festival recently that we were discussing, and I feel like it's a subject that a lot of people doesn't know about.
Yeah.
And so I've been working with my team and my co-founder for the last 4 months, developing like a framework and lessons and like an AI supported strategy in order to learn these lessons, to learn more about yourself, because generally I find that like the problem of relationships, like in this century, or in this especially like since the dawn of Tinder and Instagram, it's like a problem of polarity in relationships.
Yeah, exactly.
People are confused, I think, these days about like, how do you stay masculine? How do you still stay feminine? Like when you're a woman who has a career and you're a boss over a lot of men at work, how do you come home and you're still like feminine and free and open with your partner?
Yeah.
And how men stay masculine without feeling like they are like toxic or dangerous or being
like
called like narcissists. Exactly.
Exactly. So basically, that's why we were having a vibe from minute one, because I was like, oh my god, this is my topic, and I was very excited that you are, at the end of the day, let's just sum it up for a bit. You're creating an app that is a dating app, but is helping people understand their attachment styles, maybe a bit of their trauma, understanding better who they are, understanding themselves better, in order to find a person with a non-attachment style. So you actually heal attachment styles, kind of like you raise awareness for attachment styles within the app, and people can work on that and get coached, I think, as well, right?
Exactly. So it's like a coaching, we call it like the relationship OS. So it's like we don't want to focus on, like, it shouldn't matter. I mean, it matters for you what your attachment style is, because things that worry you or things that you do and how that affects your partner, it's very important that you understand your attachment styles, your childhood trauma and love languages, because these things create huge rifts in relationships. But so the app name is Soulmate, and one of our taglines is, soulmates are not made, they are forged, because we are from this idea and mission that like you can make any relationship work. It doesn't mean that you should be with a super toxic person that treats you bad. This is also, we have tools to highlight things that are really wrong, but it also helps you to guide and be ready yourself to be with almost anyone. And then it's up to you and them if they can grow with you. So we either have a singles journey or a couples journey, so you can self-develop, or you can match with the person you're dating or your partner, where you have a unified memory of basically everything that goes on in your relationship. Of course, this is converted from your personal details, but like in the app, if you invite a partner, you are still connected to your partner. So any issues and things you discuss, you can choose to share the data, or you can just allow the AI to have this information in order to coach your partner to basically do the right things.
Okay, so the right thing is like, freeing yourself from the trauma bonds, etc.
Exactly.
Because that's, at the end of the day, I'm also always saying, like, you make the decision to be with someone every single day, and the moment you don't do it anymore, it becomes normal, and at some point it's like, maybe you had that already, you move into a new apartment and you put your paintings on the wall and your stuff, and at some point you don't see it anymore, and maybe the decor is already like hanging like this, and you don't even see it because you're unconscious about it. And if that happens with your partner, then you're basically fucked, right?
Well, this is what we say, like when you get into complacency or like and you stop noticing and stop caring. So I mean, for example, like we suggest a lot of rules in the app. Like, for example, like if you're in a relationship, we have a few different suggestions, but like one is like the 2-2-2 rules. Like,
what is the 2-2-2 rule?
So that's one rule where you like, you should go out on a date every 2 weeks, every 2 months, you should go out for a weekend, and at least every 2 years, you should go for a holiday together.
I like that one.
So if you never cut that, you will maintain, because there is also this like what you do to make her to attract a woman is the same things you have to do to make her stay. But this goes for women too.
Yes.
That's why like if the intimacy dies down and like the woman doesn't show this, which happens a lot also, she doesn't show that she has desire for her man anymore, which can be because like it's not so mysterious anymore. You really know who this guy is in the beginning. You're like
it's
trying to figure it out.
Block. Don't forget that this is a trauma within women a lot. That we were conditioned to be silenced, you know, to be quiet, to be the good girl. I have another episode, by the way, about that. People pleasing and how
many
to
episodes?
overcome the good girl syndrome. And if you're stuck with that conditioning, then you don't allow yourself as a woman to actually communicate your needs and your opinions and your desires, and that's where the problem is happening. You know, like we're on the fierce feminine frequency here, and it's all about understanding, especially for women nowadays, that because this helps at the end of the day men as well, you know, like being fierce as a woman in business. You can be the boss babe, you can, but you have to, if you want a healthy relationship, you have to tap into your feminine essence when the laptop is closed, in order to let him lead and take the lead, because that's a masculine trait that men actually are craving for. But nowadays, and I think
it's hard.
We talked about it.
Exactly.
They are confused. Men are like, what am I supposed to? Am I allowed to? Like, I just had yesterday a talk with my best friend, because she is currently here, and she was telling me, there are some men in her surroundings. She's in a happy relationship like for 14 years now, or 15. And whenever she talks to men, they are like, shall I decide that now? And she's like, yeah, do whatever you want. Like, you decide.
And so they're like hesitating.
And they're like super overwhelmed, like they don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Like, for example, you go on a date and he's like, what do you want to drink? And I also do like, you decide, I just don't like XY, you know?
Yeah.
And then he's like, oh, okay, so shall we go with red wine?
Yeah, but this, I tell...
The reassurance, because they're not used to do it anymore.
Yeah.
They expect you to freak out, because that's, unfortunately, became a bit of a current state, right?
Yeah.
And that's why I found it so impressive to just not have a dating app where we feed the narrative of like, swipe, better, faster, because that actually nourishes a very deep trauma bond, not working on relationships anymore. Just like everyone wants to find the perfect match. Sorry to say it out loud, and very unpopular opinion, but maybe you agree, there is no perfect match. You create something perfect together for you.
Exactly.
And there is no blueprint, right?
Yeah. I mean, like, if you just... It's very easy to understand, like, if you just go back and checked everybody you dated and how different they were and how different characteristics they have, and then you look at, like, I mean, of course, everybody has a list of, like, what they want. And, you know, I had one, like, after I got divorced, I made a very detailed list. I was like, okay, I've already been married, I have a kid, so if I'm gonna like do this again and like be serious, because of course you also have some detachment trauma, and you become a little bit distant and avoidant after this, but after that, exactly. But I had a list of like 27 items, like very specific. I was like, this is exactly what I want. This is also important to have it, because you have to know what you look for. But then, like, what do you do when you find like 25 out of 27?
Exactly.
And I think another thing is like you don't actually have endless time of and chances to build a relationship with one, because each failed relationship makes you more damaged and you need more recovery. I mean, not always, not always.
Aware.
Or you
like,
can grow.
This
Yeah,
is
exactly.
Really about like, sure, we all fall in love, and I always say better have an open heart and get hurt than not loving at all, right?
Yeah.
Because why are we here for at the end of the day?
Yeah.
But like what you said with the list, I also find it important. Like, you should know your standard, you should know what you want, but still yet being open for whatever may come. Because sometimes there is someone coming who is not the perfect fit, or you never thought you're gonna end up with this person, but it's a soul contract. It happens for a reason, and there is so much learning and experience, and like if you have the experience and the learning, then it becomes like embodied wisdom, you know, that's embodied leadership at the end of the day.
Yeah,
so that's what
true.
I love, that like, okay, we have our standards, we have our list, and this is like the wish list, but also being open to whatever the universe wants to give us, because maybe we don't even know what's best for us, and they are.
I think this is very common also, that like I find that people, okay, with men it's pretty easy, and I think most men have an idea what they're attracted to, but not so many are self-aware. I found like older men who are divorced and had a long relationship and then dated a bit again, they can be like quite self-aware, like they know what they want. Like I have friends who are like, yeah, you know, I keep dating these difficult women, but I met the other day this woman, she was like so perfect, so normal, like she like didn't mind that I'm spending time and focusing on my business and my daughter.
What is
and,
perfect and normal?
I mean, he meant like in the definition of like she's calm, she's not like highly explosive emotionally, she's very
that's feminine traits.
but no, actually, those are very deeply feminine traits. But he said she was too boring.
Oh wow!
But because she didn't have the feminine traits, because highly masculine men, which is the case of this guy, they are attractive to very feminine women.
Yeah.
And this is a bit of a, I mean, a lot of people give me shit for saying this, but like,
please,
you know,
please do it. Like this
like
is the unapologetic area.
Like highly purely masculine traits are quite narcissistic, you know. Like this is we discussed, but I mean to be competitive and to if it's unhealed, but it's like
because you can still be like, for example, competition is not bad if you don't skip all the morals and values that you have, and you don't care about integrity, but you can still be competitive as a man, and achieving, but with soul. That's actually something that that's the difference, in my opinion, between toxic and healed masculinity. Like, healed masculinity at the end of the day is accepting that there is also feminine traits within you.
Exactly.
Being empathetically, you know, stuff like that. You have emotions.
But this is what I'm saying. Like, it's on a spectrum. So let's say like, if we go on full masculine, pure like masculinity in the patriarchal style, it's like only about direction, mission, competition, and not so much about emotion or sensitivity or like caring about other people, because it's about you traveling there.
Masculinity.
But the thing with women, like the purest form of feminine energy is like very crazy, very uncontrollable,
Shakti.
very exactly.
Shakti.
Like Shiva and Shakti.
Yeah, for everyone who's not knowing that, we're into the Shiva. The Shiva Shakti principle is actually the definition and understanding of the feminine and masculine energy.
Yeah.
So Shakti is like the river. She flows. She's chaotic. She's a natural force. Fierce feminine. Like, literally, she inspired me to name my own branding after that.
Okay.
But and I see it as well with me. I'm like that, you know. And if you don't have Shiva as the frame, as the riverbed, he's the river.
It goes all over the place.
It's chaotic. It's destruction, you know, because we are a natural force, literally. And without a masculine framing, aka structure, frame, like also focus, also clarity in some sense, because we're creativity and it flows, and then we have ideas, and then it's like, whoa, and like, what could we do next? And then we're like, oh, we feel doing this now, like, I know what I'm talking about, you know. And for me, for example, masculine energy, no matter if it's channeled by an actual man, or if I give myself structure and framing within my business, it's needed. Otherwise, it's so chaotic. You cannot run a thriving business if you're just in your feminine energy. You need the structure. You need the framing. And this is something that many boss babes out there are understood way too late after the burnout.
Yeah, exactly. You hit the burnout, and then it's also like once you hit that burnout, I mean, I see it in a lot of cases that women have a very big change after, you know, some like hard life event where they can go much more into being open about their feminine energy and connect to it and like to acknowledge it more. But this is and I think this comes out of, you know, like genders have been, you know, we're trying to equalize them so much, and that's one of the things that make relationships like not so strong today, because as I understand, even with apps like Tinder, there is actually less people having sexual relationship only than even like, you know, in my junior day, you know, like in the like 2000s, 2010, because I think we created a society where everybody is equal. And there is no polarity anymore. Like guys are too feminine, women are too boss babes. Guys don't know how to take control. And society advises this. Like sometimes some friends ask me like, so what do you do when you take a girl for a date? I'm like, I book a restaurant, I tell her what time. I'm like, we're going here at 7. I mean, of course I check if she's available, but I'm like, this place at 7. Unless she says like, oh, I'm really tired of that place, could we do something else? I'm like, it's okay, I have a backup booking here. But otherwise, like, we go to that place, and ordering, I'm also like, all right, this place, these things are good, and like based on what I already know that you like, probably we should, you know, go for these 4 dishes, that starter, how does that sound? Yes, and like that goes with this wine. Shall we get that, or do you feel like something else? And it's always like, and this is like, women do want that in date.
So nice.
But women like that. But then like sometimes female friends or like your parents or like people close to you can be like, oh, but you're like, that's so controlling. And I'm like, no, not for a woman who actually wants to date you. Like if you show up with your friends and you're like, I'm going to order this for all of you. I mean, that can be cool with them also if you have that friendship level. But it's like, you know, I think women still do want this. And
it depends on the situation as well.
Of course.
Like, where are you in on a date? Like, this is absolutely fine. When you're, for example, raising children, like we do it like that. Yeah, you know, that's another thing.
Yeah, of course.
But I would also say like I'm equal rights. That's so important. But what people have to understand is that we are not equal when it's about energies. And like it's not about equalizing each other, and like we're all the same, but understanding and accepting that's man, that's women, like, or let's say that's feminine energy, that's masculine energy. No matter how you define yourself, I mean, there will always be feminine and masculine energy because we live in a concept of duality. That's just a physical fact, you know, like that's physics. So at the end of the day, it needs balance. And if women are in their masculine energy and don't know how to turn that off for love life, then they will attract
very feminine dudes,
and it's the other way around.
Exactly.
This is, again, it needs the balance.
But that can work as long as it's in reversal. But only in reality, I think around 10% of couples that are in this way actually works out. Because in most of the cases,
it needs communication.
I think it doesn't work. But even in gay couples, like between two women and between two men, there is
Someone
usually,
has the feminine.
you know, you can always tell which of the like
Sure.
in a girl in a lesbian couple, like which one is the dude.
Yeah.
You know, like
That's
you
why
can
I said
kind of tell.
It's not even gender related. It's
Yeah.
just literally about the duality principle, polarity, feminine, masculine polarity and dynamics.
Yeah.
And it needs the dynamic.
Yeah.
Someone has to be feminine. We're not talking about female. And someone has to be masculine.
Yeah.
We're not talking about male.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. You know, it's like feminine, masculine. It's about those energies.
And this can change over time also.
Sure.
But and this is something actually that was interesting that I read. I think this is from Corey Wayne. He mentioned he was dating like a real boss babe, but it's like sometimes, and this is I think what happens for a lot of like career women. It's like for the men, regardless of like how good they are at like taking you into your feminine energy, making you feel like a princess, queen, like taking you on cool dates, being spontaneous, like showing care, like and everything. If it takes too much effort every time, the guy will go tired and he will be like, it takes too much of my energy to keep her feminine. And this is something that makes men to leave relationships.
That's why both have a part in this. You know? It's not just about the man making her feminine and being in his super masculine.
Yeah, she has to allow it.
Exactly. Yeah. That's, for example, what I'm teaching, what I'm coaching. You know, like how can you shift between the fierce boss babe and the fierce boss babe during the day?
Yeah.
Like I'm now currently the fierce boss babe. You know.
Yeah.
But at home or when I'm on dates.
Yeah, you're chilling.
Like, where are we?
Yeah.
You ordered great, thank you.
Yeah, but this is how it has to be.
Like
but if you can never relax into that, then you also start getting that feeling that like, you know, like, why do I need a man? I mean, a lot of women say this like, why do I need a man if I can, you know, pay my own bills? Why do I need it for this? You don't need it. Like, but you like your life can be more fulfilled if you have the right kind of man.
Yeah,
you know?
Again, we don't need men. That's literally a fact. That's literally, there are even studies about it, by the way, that women are way happier as singles. Men
I know.
are like super, like when we are single, we're like, and we have the best time with our girls, and men are always craving a relationship. So literally men, I think, need women more than
this,
we need
I mean,
men.
well, it depends. Like men who are good, like at dating, I mean, men who do understand this polarity and has charm and charisma, and they can like, you know, they can charm women very easy. They can quite often be like that they don't need a relationship. But I think it's for most other men because it's like a lot of work to date and to, you know, to get to like it's more like difficult for guys because girls can be like having fun, and then if they want male attention, it's like they have it around them all the time and it's always there. Yeah, but not a lot of men have this attention like constantly.
Okay, I get
it's a very small percentage of the guys who can attract that attention in order just to feel that they have that still feminine energy coming to them. I think a lot of other guys are just like super lonely and they feel like super bad if they. So that's why they crave relationships.
I get that. At the end of the day, I would say it's never good if you need someone. Like I always say like I don't need a man. If then I want a man, you know, because this is out of healthy and very self-worth, confident state of mind.
Let me. We're still on rec. I just. We said like maximum 20 minutes, but I think we're gonna hit the rec limit. If you see the light goes out, we just tell me so we press the button again.
So basically, I think you should never need a person because then you're immediately in the
then you're a codependent. It's like you feel too attached and then you don't have like your individual lives and you don't like manage the relationship good. You count too much on the other person to like give you something, like to give you like a sense of calm or a sense of fulfillment, and this always gets like messed up, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
And especially anxiously attached people, they have it a lot. Like they will just suck onto you and like, you know, like you cannot. you cannot have your hobbies.
Please let me alone, and then he's coming back, and then
but you know, like I do, like I didn't also, like I studied some like behavioral psychology out of interest, and of course, like growing up, I was always interested in like the flirting and dating game when I was younger, but it was actually after I got divorced that I was like, I read up on this more from an interest point of view, like, okay, let's understand like fully how this dynamic works.
Great.
And I start to understand it like really clearly. And I also realized that like people really do not know what it's needed. And I'm thinking like I was 23 when I met my ex-wife. And at that age, and anyway, at any age, nobody like trains you on this. I don't know any generation, especially men, who like have a clear understanding on like what you need to do in relationships to maintain them, to keep them, like to keep attraction. Most people just like get married, it dwindles out, then they're like, this is not as cool as I thought. Then they get divorced.
They're bored, yeah.
But the thing is, like, if you start new relationships, it will happen again and again and again until you learn how to like
it's a pattern
keep
until
it.
you break
Exactly.
the cycle. Yeah. It's all about communication as well, like understanding we communicate in different ways.
Yeah.
Men are very straightforward. Women are more like
Emotional.
pampering the whole
Well,
information, you know.
yeah.
And sometimes I see that as well when I'm talking to guys and they're like, what do you want to tell me? And I'm like, so, you know,
because women communicate covertly, like they do not overtly. I mean, men are overt. They like, this is what I want to do. Women communicate from feelings, and it's overt. Like I see it from my girlfriend all the time. It's like, you know, she might tell me like, instead of like, hey babe, can you pick me up and drive me to my beauty appointment? Yeah. It's like, hi, are you busy right now? And what will you do? I'm like, do you want to go somewhere? Shall I pick you up?
You got it.
And she's like, yes. So men have to like learn to read between the lines and understand like what is she actually saying, you know? And this is also very important through like the whole process of dating, but especially in relationships. Because what a woman says is always what she feels, like right now, like this second. Yeah. So it's like if she says you are an asshole, like because of whatever reason, you have to translate it and you have to add right now. I feel like you are an asshole because of whatever. Again,
okay? Everything is great.
And it's very also not like a good point to start a discussion about something at this point because it's like you're just in this feeling. So for example, for me and like what we've trained our app on also, it's trained on a lot of scenarios, on polarity, on like every relationship psychology book, plus like from our Reddit agents that is trained on like more than 20,000 discussions of Reddit forum users complaining about the relationships, psycho-profiling everybody. It's I mean,
that's
of course.
So genius.
Yeah.
I love it that you create an app out of this.
Yeah,
really.
because I thought like, how can I've helped a few friends with their like, you know, like a little bit of dating and like recommended them things to do because they asked me. And I was thinking like, should I start coaching or something like this? But then I thought, the problem with all of the one-on-one coaching sometimes for me is that like you can teach men, but if you really focus on men, it might not be like fully beneficial to women because let's say if you teach a man how to really be attractive for a woman, some of the attractive traits are like not the nicer traits. So I thought like,
what do you mean?
I mean, for example, men, I mean, you know, women are usually attracted more to guys who are a bit of assholes. This is like, you know, but they are. Yeah, but this is still like very common.
When you're in, because there are
I'm saying it's very common. So for a guy who just wants to succeed at dating, his line is not the same as a guy who wants to build a good relationship with the foundation. So that's why I thought like I can combine it all in an app so we can train the man and the woman at the same time. And the way we do it, like if you go to couples therapy, you both talk to the psychologist and you both hear what the other one is saying. So it's the same arguments like when you talk together and you cannot barrier the communication. You just have one person there trying to make it smoother. But here the idea is like you talk and the AI makes the translation.
I have a question.
You know?
Is the AI, because I read an article about it and I found it very interesting because this is true. I really have to say it. When we're all talking to ChatGPT, ChatGPT has always your back.
ChatGPT always has your back.
So at the end of the day, ChatGPT or AI in general is now creating or nourishing the narcissist.
Exactly, this is what we mentioned before. It really feeds
your AI does not do that.
No, so this is because like keep in mind ChatGPT is a subscription module for each user. So like it needs to be on the user side. It always coaches you. It always agrees with you. It always tells you like, yeah, you are right to feel like that. And this is, and also you do not give it enough context. I mean,
most of the people.
If you are pissed off and you write in ChatGPT that like, my girlfriend did this and it pissed me off, ChatGPT will go like, yeah, brother, you are right. She's a bitch, you know. But in a like in an emotionally correct written way. But that's essentially what it will tell you because it's like trying to be on your side and it doesn't have context. That's why first you got to do your relationship tests, all your traumas, attachment style, and then if you have that background, it already has context.
Yeah.
So if you are worrying like, oh, my girlfriend or the person I'm dating is out or not answering my messages fast enough, but you have an anxious attachment style, it will be like, okay, listen,
There is something going on.
Oh, yeah, so. Okay, so we got to start this one again.
But let's come to an end, okay?
Yeah.
It's very long.
It's very long. But this is the thing, we're going to take sidewise. But
sure.
So...
I get you. So at the end of the day, your AI is context-based. That's why it's not feeding the ego.
Exactly.
And nourishing narcissists. Raising narcissists, that's good. Because like you want to unlock the
exactly.
true traits.
Because like it's really about self-development.
Very good.
But in the context of relationships, and then if you do a partner journey, its goal is to help both of you.
Yeah.
Because you're on a dual subscription plan. So if one of you cancels, probably the other one cancels too. You know? So anyway, our retention is keeping people happy. But I mean, for example, like one of the VC guys I spoke to, he was like, what about the churn rate? Because if it fixes relationships, people won't need it anymore. But I'm like, you literally constantly need some advice throughout a relationship because it always changes and like nobody fully heals. I mean, you can go into secure attachment and you can be super cool and you can learn about the feminine, masculine energy, but then you're still gonna run into like these like dead bedroom phases from time to time, or like you drop out on polarity or something happens and...
But that's again about accepting, right? Because like I think that's something that society totally skipped and canceled, that everything always has to be perfect and super healed and positive, and that is so toxic in another way, covered in another you know, because at the end of the day, just surrender to the fact that even this is duality, polarity, and coming with phases and ups and downs. Like not always is gonna be, if everything is always nice, and it's still monotone and
boring.
Exactly.
And this is and a lot of people say people say find a compatible partner, like find a girl who likes the same activities that you like. You are both sporty, you both like to do this, you both like to go to bed at this time, you have the same ideas about everything in life. And it's like, like where is the attraction happening there then?
Exactly.
How much passion is in that relationship? And how much, and also like attraction is based on so many other things. I mean, for example, like you have genetical markers of who you're attracted to.
Absolutely,
I mean, if you think like your partners or the person you're dating, if you think their sweat smells good, you are you are genetical opposites. And that's why like your biological programming makes you more attracted to them.
It's the same with
And this,
blood types. Did you know that?
The blood types I didn't know. Yeah.
Blood types. I think it's positive and negative. I don't remember it. And that's crazy, right?
But that would make sense because, like, I don't know exactly how it works, but sometimes if two of the same blood types have a kid, it's like a very high risk to have Down syndrome. And this is nature's programming.
I know.
You should be attracted to somebody of
Who's
the full genetical opposite.
At the end of the like on a spiritual term, I think it's about soul evolution. Because if someone is totally like you and everything is very smooth, then it's just like, okay. But if someone's like a bit different and you're like, and also with other opinions or maybe slightly different values. Like if you have totally different values, it's not gonna work in my opinion. But if you have slightly different values, then it's like, it opens your mind. It widens your horizon, and at some point you get inspired and even motivated. And that's attraction at some point as well, like, this person is like that, I'm not used to that, but I think I like it. Something like that. Yeah,
and also, like one can be super impulsive and one can need a lot of structure, but the impulsive person actually brings your life to some excitement. I mean, like in my relationships, it's the opposite. I mean, I am like the one who is like, babe, grab your stuff. Let's go to Paphos today. There is a cool new like beach bar, and I want to go and like pump our SUP and paddle at that little beach that we haven't seen yet. And it's like she can be like, all right, let's go. But it's sometimes I can. But of course, it's usually with a lot of planning. But you do need anyway some differences, because if you are both very mellow and you kind of both like to plan things, but nobody really likes to plan it, you will not do anything.
Yeah, exactly.
So
No, it's a nice example of feminine masculine dynamics and the Shiva Shakti energy. Like you have the river, but you also need the river bed.
Yeah.
But also the river bed without the river is dry.
Yeah.
What is it, right? It lost its purpose. And that is, oh my God, I love that right now. Because this is so true. A man who has not that lady, did you see that? I realized that a lot and experienced that a lot. Men who find their lady, they have a new purpose. They really thrive in their masculinity. They're like, I'm the king now. They have their purpose, right? And without it, it's kind of dry. It's like, that's why they are seeking.
Yeah, exactly.
They're seeking. And the woman without the masculine frame, without the Shiva, it's like, everywhere, all over the place.
And
that's
true.
why I like the metaphor.
Metaphor of the river,
because river bed.
I thought about another metaphor on that, because another thing is like leading also doesn't mean restricting, because it's like, leading is having, boundaries and directing and, sometimes saying no to things that, like as a man, that you don't like. But if you are totally rigid and you like, instead of leading the riverbank, you create a dam, it will break, it will break and overflow.
I love that one.
Because this is what happens too. I think I've met a lot of friends who was like in marriages and stuff, and they just like after 5 years, it just fully burst, because it's like they had guys who was just super tough, like don't want to do anything, but don't allow them to do anything. And it's just, getting to a breaking point. And after that, they're just like done, and they cannot, anymore.
Look, I always say you cannot suppress a woman. Really, you actually cannot. The best thing to do for a man in order to have a thriving relationship is to redirect the flow.
Exactly.
Put it in shape.
We are builders, so it's like direct the canal in the right direction.
Yeah, and that's nothing.
So it goes in the place where you intend it to.
Exactly. But for me, in my opinion, this is helping. Because I am really respecting men and like masculine qualities. Because when I don't have that in my life, sometimes I'm like, wait, I wanted to do this, and then I have so many projects and tabs open in my brain, and I'm like, what am I gonna do first? And then sometimes it's a man, sometimes it's a masculine energy, like for example a friend, you know, doesn't matter. At the end of the day, a masculine person in my life who's telling me, start with that makes most sense.
Yeah.
Thank you. You know?
Like, okay. Yeah, perfect.
Okay.
Yeah, but that's cool.
Yeah, I could talk to you with ages about that, but this is gonna be extended.
We're gonna have an extended episode, yeah, but it's but this is interesting, and I think I mean I actually like I have time until like 1. What do we have? I mean till 1.
I would actually cut it down now a bit. And
let's cut it and chop it up and see what we have, and then because this is so easy to do again, we can just
thank you so much for attending this beautiful podcast episode of the Pure Feminine Frequency. We were talking a lot about that dynamic and frequency at the end of the day is also something fluid, right? That you have to readjust and adjust with and be aligned with, like the masculine, feminine traits. So thanks for your insights, and I really love the app. Soulmate, it's called, right? It's called Soulmate. It's like for now, it's just beta signups at the soulmate.app, but so people can just like drop in an email. But we're gonna roll out beta testing in like 2-3 weeks. Nice, awesome. All right, so thank you for attending. And for the talk. Thank you for listening. Thank you for listening. There's so many cameras here. Thank you. I'm overwhelmed. And see you soon on the next episode. Bye-bye. Awesome. So we cut it? Yes. Perfect.